I was getting ready to do solar. I was going to go with this Harbor Freight stuff on the RV. And, you know, it's cute with the little, that's only like a 45 watt system. And then I have the Westinghouse 4500 watt generator, which is also great. I love it. Quiet, works excellent. I would definitely recommend it. But then I ended up picking up a 280 watt solar panel. And I mounted it on the roof of the fifth wheel. I'll show you how I did that and how it worked. Now, I didn't even make it permanent yet. It's just, I mean, the mounting is permanent. But I mounted it with these little feet. See, like that? And that's a big panel. That thing is huge. So I put that on there. Now, temporarily to test it, you see the plugs? I just ran 10 gauge wire. I just taped it in just to try it before I started going through the camper and making holes everywhere. I figured I'll give it a test run just to see how it would work out. And this is what ended up happening. I bought some cheesy charge controller, which I'm going to change. That's a 60 amp charge controller. Now you can see it's already up to 14 volts with 5 batteries. I got one, the one behind it, 2, 3, 2 here stacked. 5 batteries on this thing. And it was down. And it managed to get up to, make sure these wires aren't getting hot. I can't believe that. You know what? I'm going to have to check this with my voltmeter, because I find it hard to believe that it could have brought 5 batteries up to 14 volts in just a few hours, because these batteries were sitting there, you know, around 12 flat. It just kind of surprises me. So I got my charger there, and it's cute. It shows you that it's charging, and the sun is really not on it. Oh, look, a little happy battery. I don't know what the load thing is about, but that must be charging the battery. There really is no load. That's why it's moving very slow. But you can see the batteries are coming up. Now, I also added a marine battery charger, which I found that I didn't actually need. I put this marine triple bank. It does 3 bags of batteries at once. And I found that I don't actually need that, because you have a 75 amp onboard charger anyway. I put my solar inverter over there. Not solar, my power inverter to bring it to 120 volts. So I ran that over there. And that's all hooked up. So, you know, now when the batteries die, it'll charge off the sun. And you can see it's doing a good job. I mean, I got a lot of trees over the camper blocking it. It's getting a little bit of sun over the panel, you know, but that's what I ended up doing. And you know what? It works. Now, some people may say, well, you don't want to, there's the stupid solar panel on the roof. And some people may say, well, you don't really want it on the roof because it might not be in the sun. And you know what? I experienced that already. It may not be in the sun. So you could do this Harbor Freight deal if you want, but it's only 45 watts. They do have a 100 watt one, and it's expandable. You know, you got to set them up. And I mean, that's a good way too. But for the most part, we do a lot of camping at the beach. So with the beach camping, I found that's the way to go. Now, as far as how you want to hook them up, now the panels I use happen to be about 40 volts. So that charge controller I got is only capable of handling 50. If you went with Epic Solar, which I highly recommend, Epic Solar has an excellent, you know, you could actually put number 4 gauge wire under the charge controller. I just liked Epic Solar. It looked heavy duty. That's going to be putting that in next. It also comes with a remote head if you opt to get it for about $200. And you put the remote head inside your camper so you can see what's going on instead of coming in here and looking at everything. See, look, it's already up to 14.1. I'm getting scared, boy. It's really putting out. I'm going to go get my voltmeter, see what's going on with this. So, anyway, the Epic Solar, I mean, as I was saying, the Epic Solar could take 150 volt input. You really want to wire the panels in series, because this way you don't have to up the wire gauge so much. Like, all right, let's say now this panel I have, it's drawing 280 watts at around 9 amps. Somewhere around that. I believe that was what it said, about 9 amps. Now, if I put 2 of them in series, now I'm going to be at 80 volts instead of 40 volts and still at 9 amps. And wire is rated in amperage. So 10 gauge wire is capable of 30 amps. So, you know, the thing is, you don't want to go, like if you start putting a bunch of them, you know, if you parallel them up, now your current is going to double. Now I'll be at 20 amps. You put another one on, you'll be at the max capacity of the wire. So that's what the problem is with that. So you really want to run them in series and just make sure you don't overvolt your controller. and you'll be good. Now let's see, I'm just going to see. I'm sorry about this horrible video, but it is what it is. Let's just see what the voltage really is. Let's see, because I'm just kind of getting worried about this thing. Let's check this at the battery. Yeah, you know what? I can't even. You're gonna have to trust me on this one, because I don't have someone to hold the thing. I'm getting 13 even at the battery. 13 even at the battery. Let's see what we're getting at the charge controller. You know, I wonder if there's a better. I can't really show you. There's no. Actually, if I lock the phone in here, yeah, I can find. It'll be upside down, but you'll read it nonetheless. Okay, let me get that back in. See, now this is directly to the battery. You got 13. Now, if I went directly, let's see what happens if I go directly off the charge controller. 13. Now let's check it directly at the charge controller. That'll be interesting. Let's see what the charge controller says it is. This is what's actually going out to my batteries. 13. Alright, so that's not too bad. It's got 13. It's saying 14.1. So obviously that charge controller is off. You know why? Because it's the cheap Chinese crap. Now let's see what's coming in on the solar. That'll be interesting to read. Let's see if I can get that. I'm trying to stab these. I'm trying to stab it into the, the connections here. All right, let's try to. Now this is right off the panel. Now I know these panels can do like 40 volts. I don't know. I never checked it. What do we got? It still says 13. That can't be. It still says 13. That doesn't even make sense to me. Let's check that one more time. 13. Something's wrong there. Everything is 13 here. It's time to get a new meter. Let's see what's on the output. 13. Everything is 13. Well, maybe, who knows? Maybe you know what? I guess to accurately check what's coming in on the solar, I'd actually probably have to unhook it. That's the only thing I can figure why it would say 13, but I'm not too upset now that it's said 13. But these are good batteries. These Optimus, they're not bad. You really want to get a battery that's rated in amp hours. Now, I know this is only 75 amp hours. So, just for a reference point, let's say you buy a battery that's 100 amp hours. It's based on a 20-hour rating. So, it'll give you 100 amp hours in 20 hours. Or 20 amps for 5 hours. Or 10 amps for 10 hours. Or, like that. That's how the amp hours work. So, that's how hey, we got the mail coming. So that's how that works out. Just for anyone who wants to know. Now, if you get a normal marine battery, they're rated in just cranking amps for the most part, unless you get a dual purpose. But if it's rated in cranking amps, that's really not what you want. You kind of want to see the amp hours. So just a point of reference there. And definitely get a deep cycle. Hope that helped anyone trying to figure out what they're going to do on solar. It's really not a bad thing to do. Get any stupid solar panel you want. Make sure the output voltage matches your charge converter. And also you'll find that little white pipe on the top of your camper, that's your venting. So if you go from that white pipe down, it's going to go almost either, my camper happens to go to the kitchen cabinets, believe it or not. And then from that point I can get to the front of my camper. You could either do that, or the other choice is sometimes they go all the way down into the belly of the camper. If it goes down to the bottom, then you could access the wires that way. Your other choice is, if you have a front living, like I do, there's a cabinet right up there. I could drill through the front, right after that shiny new little nose cap. I can come down into the cabinets and then come out underneath this fifth wheel point and right under the hitch and get it back into the battery compartment. That's another way to do it. But definitely consider that vent up there. I looked at it already. It's the best way to go. Hope this helps someone.